Good morning. It's good to see all of you online today. I'm Teresa Madsen with the OUUC tech team, and my bunny here is Rory. I use she, her pronouns. He uses he, him pronouns. And welcome to all who are joining us on whatever platform you're using. You gotta be quiet though. This Zoom service is being recorded and it's streaming live to YouTube. We use the Zoom chat feature for greetings, song lyrics, and affirmations and applause, and items shared from the heart. The chat is not posted or shared publicly. If you experience any technical issues during the service, you can reach out to Joe Celine or another member of the tech team for assistance when the chat is on. Last, I hope you'll find a candle or a chalice. In a moment, we can light them together. Thank you for your grace and adaptability and sense of humor. As we all remember, it's about connection, not perfection.
Good morning. Let's sing together our morning song. It's hymn number 5 in the Gray Hymn Book, and you can also find the lyrics posted in the chat. This is a hymn that we have not sung before here at OUUC. It is Something to Have Wept. We have the choir this morning to help lead us through, so all will be well.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation online worship service. We welcome each of you to this celebration of love and to this congregation. The OUUC community comes together in the mutual promises and possibilities of our covenant. We envision an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. We're so glad that you are here. My name is Alicia Seegers Martinelli. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a member of the worship arts team. Leading worship with me today is our minister, Reverend Mary Gear, and our music director, Troy Fisher. We are grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning. Thank you to the breakout room hosts, the tech team members, and all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Mary. We invite all of those online to go into a breakout session for a virtual coffee chat. This is a chance to gather with a small group to say hello and check in. Each breakout room will be hosted by somebody to help make sure everyone knows each other and has a chance to share. We hope you'll join the discussion. After service and breakout rooms, please join for a Q&A on legacy giving with our OUUC Board of Trustees. Plan to join Reverend Mary for this Thursday's spiritual practice. She'll offer readings and meditation on the monthly theme of Empower at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And save the date for May 14. With fingers crossed, we will be able to have an in-person dinner and auction this year. Check out the Tuesday update for more information. There are many ways to stay connected to this community. Please check the website regularly. If you have questions or need help, check in with a member of our staff. Now, let us open our hearts and our minds as we prepare for worship. Welcome, everyone. It is good to be together.
My dear ones, we've had another loss in our community, another life to celebrate as we mourn. Joan Forst died this last Monday morning, Valentine's Day. She was at home in the company of her beloved Bernie. She had just visited with all of her children in the days before, and Bernie says she just went to sleep. Joan had been living with the effects of ALS for several years and the diagnosis for several months. She did not suffer or linger, as was her wish. Bernie shared a bit of Joan's story with me so that I might share it with you. Joan was born in 1937 in San Francisco, then raised in Burlingame, California. She had one brother, Joe, who died last year. She attended the University of the Pacific to earn degrees in religion and psychology. She had 3 children, and after they were grown, she was certified as a chemical dependency counselor and worked in that field for 20 years, helping countless people overcome addiction. Joan was a UU during her time in California and began attending OUUC when she moved to Olympia. Joan and Bernie met at OUUC at a Covenant of UU Pagans gathering, and both of them signed the membership book in 1991, one right after the other. They were married in April 1995 by Reverend Sandra Lee here at OUUC. Joan was a singer and a comedian. Troy describes her as a wonderful soprano who he often asked to do solos. He recalls her lovely voice in the choir and her wit, often telling silly jokes. She loved to sing and entertain, performing in Wrinkles of Washington and Entertainment Explosion for 25 years. Joan had a great sense of humor, was unflappably cheerful, and loved people. She leaves behind her beloved Bernie, 3 children and 3 grandchildren. She leaves a legacy of laughter, music, and love. There are no plans for a memorial, So we celebrate Joan's life today. As she wished, Joan's body was donated to the University of Washington Medical Center, supporting science and learning, another legacy she leaves behind. Her ashes will be interred in the OUUC columbarium when they are returned. Joan, we thank you for your legacy. May your spirit be at peace. We light a candle in memory of Joan Forst.
This morning and every Sunday morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. Please join me as we light our chalices together with these words by Cynthia Landrum. We light this chalice, the beacon that calls us to love, to justice, to a deepening of the spirit.
Our opening words this morning are "We Gather to Remember" by Nicole McKay. We gather to remember those who could not grow old, and those forced to grow old long before their time. We gather to mourn and grieve with one another all of our losses, the people, the stories, the loved ones, and the futures that could have been. We gather to do the hard work of facing the difficult realities of our present and our past, where there is conflict, violence, war, and hatred. We gather to hold space for silence as we try to make meaning of our history to help us work for peace and justice today. We gather to rekindle our source of hope for our future by recognizing in one another our shared humanity. As we join in a concerted commitment for a better tomorrow, we gather because we need community to do all of this holy work. Come, let us worship together.
Let's sing together our opening hymn. It's hymn number 30, Over My Head. You can also find the lyrics posted in the chat. Over my head, I hear music in the
Today's story is called The Mustard Seed, a Buddhist tale. There was once a woman in India who grew up very poor. She was often weary, weak, and frail, and so they called her Kisa, meaning frail. When Kisa Gautami married, she moved into the house of her husband's family. Her family treated her harshly until the day she had a child. She was respected now with her new baby boy. Kisa was proud and happy, for he was the light of her life. But despite taking excellent care of him, he was one day struck with a sudden illness, and he died. His death overwhelmed poor Kisa. She bundled him in warm blankets, and she held him tightly to her chest. Crazed with grief, she stumbled from house to house, begging for medicine to bring him back to life. But no one could help, and they called her crazy. Eventually, one kind man realized that this woman was mad with grief, and he told her of the wisest of men, the Buddha. "I will take you to him, and you can ask his advice," he said. So he led her to the monastery where she found the Buddha. She shouted, "Teacher, teacher, please, my son needs medicine." He studied the child's lifeless face. "You did well coming here for medicine," he said to her. "But before I can save your child, you must do something. Return to the city and find me a single mustard seed and bring it back." Kisa's face lit up. That seemed like a simple task. Mustard seeds were very common. But then the Buddha continued, "Most importantly, this mustard seed must come from a family in which no one has died, and they have not been touched by grief. Go now, bring me back just one mustard seed from such a family." "Oh, thank you, good sir," Kisa said. She was happy, and she hurried back to the city. The first house Kisa came to, she stopped and she knocked on the door. The old woman answered. The old woman could easily give Kisa a mustard seed. In fact, all of India used these seeds in cooking. But when Kisa said, "I must ask you, has anyone in this family died recently?" the old woman's head lowered. "I'm sorry to say yes. My husband died 6 months ago." "I am so sorry," said Kisa. "Thank you for your kindness, but I cannot take this seed." A few minutes later, she knocked at another door. Young children were playing, and a young woman answered. Kisa said, "I am looking for a single mustard seed from a household in which there has been no death." The woman shook her head. "We cannot help you. I am sorry. We lost our mother 2 years ago. For many months, I was so unhappy I didn't know how to go on, but I knew I had to help my father raise my brothers and sisters. I am sorry, we have no such special mustard seed for you." And so Kisa continued to the next house and the next house and the next. But at every home, someone had lost a beloved, a parent, a sibling, a spouse, a friend. The list grew longer and longer. After a time, night fell. Kisa looked down at her son, still cradled in her arms. She studied him closely, and she felt a change inside herself. Not a single household she had visited had been untouched by grief and untouched by death. Many suffered, just as she was suffering now. And somehow, with these thoughts, her grief lightened just a little and just enough that she could return home. The next day, at first light, Kisa readied her son for funeral. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she wrapped him in clean cloth and she said farewell. And after the funeral, Kisa returned to the monastery. The Buddha saw in her face that she had come to her senses. He asked, "Did you bring me a tiny grain of mustard seed?" "No, teacher. I am done looking for the mustard seed. I know that in the whole city and in the whole world, there is not one family and not one person free from the certainty of death. It is the way of all living things. We must, at some point, leave each other." "And where is your child, dear woman?" he asked. "At last, I have said goodbye. I felt terribly alone with my grief, but I know that there are many others who have lost what they most cherish. We must help each other as you have helped me." Kisa Gautami, brought back to her right mind after her search for the mustard seed, went on to comfort others in need for the remainder of her lifetime. And so ends our story.
We came together in community this morning, bringing everything that is in our lives and in the life of our community. Here we lean on one another to help hold all that we bring here with us. In this space, we share from our hearts what brings us joy and sorrow, what brings us worry and delight, what makes us weep, and what makes us dance. Here we open our hearts to the complexity of life, our own and others. If you would like to send in something to share next week, just send me an email. You'll find my address in the chat. And we will hear a drumbeat as we share today. It brings into our awareness that our individual hearts beat, and together we create the heartbeat of our community. So right now, I invite us all to just take a breath together. And let's open our hearts to receive the complexity of all that is in our lives and our community today. We send our care and love to Joan Forst's family, Bernie and her children and grandchildren, her many friends, and the people whose lives she touched. May your memories sustain you in your time of mourning. Beth Johnson and Lee Doyle share their sorrow at the death of Beth's cousin, Pam Robb. Pam's death was unexpected and accidental. Pam died doing what she loved, caring for rescued dogs. Pam was a retired teacher and had grand plans for remodeling the home she shared with her wife, Angie. We send our love and condolences to Beth, Lee, Angie, and all who loved and cherished Pam. And the cycle of life continues. Kate Dorsey is delighted to share that Lark Elizabeth Dorsey was born on February 12th. Kate is well supported at home by her midwife and friends. Mom and baby are doing well and resting from the hard work of being born. Kate, we send you our love. And Lark, welcome to the world. We are so looking forward to meeting you. And now I invite you to share from your heart by entering what you wish in the chat. This is a time to share all that you wish, joys and sorrows and whatever else is shared from your heart. And as we take in what is posted, let's hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. We'll place a stone in the water for all that has been shared from the heart. A stone holding the complexity of our lives, held in the water of community. And one last stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. I invite you now into a time of prayer, reflection, and meditation. Infinite web of life, spirit of love, great mystery that holds us all. The cycle of life continues. We mourn those we have lost, and we welcome those new to this world. May we hold fast to the stories, memories, and legacies of those who have gone. May we open our hearts to those who are new and full of possibility. In this time of longer days and budding plants, may we notice what in us is passing away and what is waiting to be born. The cycle of life continues. Blessed be. Amen. Let's hold a moment of silence together.
Our prayers and meditations deepen our gratitude for what we know as sacred in our lives and in the world. Each Sunday, we express our gratitude by joining together in community to something greater than ourselves. The offering collected here does two things. It supports the ongoing work of OUUC, which is also supported by our regular pledges. And the offering supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. For January and February, our Share the Plate recipient is Thurston Climate Action Team, TCAT. TCAT is a local nonprofit dedicated to bringing our community together to reduce climate disruption, resulting in a healthier, just, and prosperous future for all. Founded in 2009, they focus on initiatives that quickly, significantly, and equitably reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Thurston County. Please note that you can participate in the offering by making a donation online through the church website or by texting the number that will appear on your screen. You can also email a check to OUUC. Our community partners continue to need our financial support. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received. Wolves howl to communicate with each other, especially across long distances. They lift their noses to the sky and direct the howl up because it helps the sound carry further. Wolves are most active at night, so they point their noses to the moon and the stars as they howl. Some people say that howling at the moon and sky has spiritual meaning. It can represent clear and heartfelt communication with ourselves, communication with loved ones. It can mean calling to something beyond us. Have you ever heard wolves howl at the moon? Listen.
What did you hear in the wolves howl? I hear longing, longing for connection. I hear power and strength, as if the sound could fuel power and strength within us. I hear lamentation, the passionate, powerful expression of grief. The wolf howl calls forth the grief that I carry, that we carry, the grief of these past weeks and of these past years. Not one of us is untouched. It is cliche now to say that we have lost so much these past few years, and yet it is truth. We have lost so much. Individual losses, collective losses. There are times that it feels like if we were to acknowledge all of it, well, it would be too much. We would begin weeping and never stop. Today, in this space, we hold each other in our lamentation, yes, even virtually. We can name the grief and face it together, as humans have been doing since we came into existence. Our grief is holy, and we need each other to do the holy work of mourning. In the past 2 years since COVID began, we've lost 18 people from the OUUC community. Many of us have suffered other losses, relatives and friends, neighbors, coworkers, jobs, homes, places important to us. We've lost a sense of certainty and of the future. So much. Too much. So let us name those losses today. We'll light candles so that we may mourn those losses. We have enough candles to hold all that we bring here, flames to send smoke to the sky like the wolves howl, seeking connection, seeking comfort, seeking spirit. I'll invite you to share your losses in just a bit, entering them in the chat, or saying them out loud, or holding them in your heart in silence. And then I'll invite us to howl with the wolves. We're going to howl. So if you're not alone, you might want to alert someone near you so they're not too alarmed. And then we'll have some silence and a prayer and expression of our need, our longing, and our hope. And so, my dear ones, take a breath. Fill your lungs with air, the breath of life. We light a candle for these people we've lost in the past 2 years from the OUUC community. Their names: Rob Radford, Billy Williams, Robin Williams, Dorothy Mahaffey, Tom Joldersma, Bernie Steckler, Mark Witcher, Pete Spiller, Brad Gupta, Charlie Keck, Barbara Moore, Bob Sundstrom, Jerry Smith, John Tobin, Arlene Anderson, Evelyn Greenberg, Ann Nielsen, Joan Forst. As we take in the light of this flame, a reminder of their passing, may we take in a larger truth, that we are part of the human family, connected to each other and to the source from which we come and to which we return. Here, in the midst of our lamentation, we are connected to them and to each other. In the United States, over these last several years, over 900,000 people have died from COVID-19. There have been almost 6 million people lost around the world. We light a candle this morning for all the lives lost to COVID-19. And we know that we have not all suffered the effects of this virus equally. While there is no household that has been unaffected, communities of color have disproportionately suffered illness and death and economic losses. Same storm, different boats, or no boat at all. We light a candle for the ongoing inequality in our society, culture, and systems. Oh, and the uncertainty. Some of us had incredible uncertainty in our lives before COVID. Now, all of us do. We've been asked to be flexible and to adapt to an uncertain future. We may not know next week, let alone next year. We grieve the ability to dream, the loss of the future we imagined. We light a candle for uncertainty and lost dreams. And now it is time for you to name your losses as you wish. You can enter words in the chat, or say them out loud wherever you are, or hold them in the silence of your heart. We'll be spacious, so you don't need to feel rushed. May we open our hearts as we light one more candle for all that has been shared. So much, so many people. We lament, and we share our lamentation with each other and for each other. Just breathe. And as we breathe, let's prepare to howl with the wolves. Really, I invite you to prepare to howl wherever you are. You can stand or sit, and we can all unmute ourselves so that we can hear us calling to each other. Take a deep breath, point your nose to the sky, and howl with the wolves. Great mystery from which we come and to which we return. Hear our cries.
I found out they're out in the cabin. I wonder if he needs one. He might. Ask him.
Great mystery from which we come and to which we return. Hear our glorious cries. We cry out in grief and in sorrow. We lament the losses of people, of dreams, of the future we imagined. We offer the flickering light of candles, remembrances of all the losses that weigh so heavily on our hearts. Spirit of life and love, help us to carry that weight with and for each other as we gather for the holy work of mourning. We see and hear all that has been named, and we reach for hope underneath all that we take in with our eyes and ears. Help us to respond with commitment instead of fear. Help us to come through our sorrow with renewed strength. Help us to move through uncertainty with a renewed sense that we can create a world that is more loving, just, and healthy. A world of purpose and equity. A world of love for every heart that beats, starting with our own. Spirit of life, come to us. Remind us to breathe. While we have life, may we use our power to create good for all. May this be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Let's sing together hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Spirit
Let's extinguish our chalices and candles together with these words adapted from David Breeden. In this time of loss, in this time of asking why, we lit flames of sharing, flames of remembering, flames of commitment, signs of our searching, signs of our sharing, signs that together we remember, together we ask why. Together, in sadness and in joy, we share light. As we extinguish these flames, may we remember to celebrate what we are together. May we move in peace.
Let's join together in singing our unison benediction.